In a galaxy where genetic perfection was the standard for creating an army of millions, 5 clones dared to be different. They were the misfits, the outcasts, the ones who shouldn't have worked, but somehow became the most effective special forces unit the Republic had ever seen. This is the story of Clone Force 99, better known as the Bad Batch, a tale that spans from the final days of the Clone Wars through the dark rise of the Empire and ultimately to the spark of rebellion that would change the galaxy forever. Picture this. While countless identical clone troopers marched in perfect formation across battlefields throughout the galaxy, there existed a squad that broke every rule in the book. They customized their armor with skull designs, called regular clones regs with obvious disdain, and had a perfect mission success rate that made even the most decorated commanders take notice. But their story begins not with glory, but with tragedy and remembrance. The squad took their designation from a clone named 99, a malformed maintenance worker on Kamino who died defending his home during a separatist invasion, while other clones might have forgotten this humble janitor. The members of Clone Force 99 honored his memory by adopting his number. They understood what it meant to be different, to be seen as defective, yet still fight for something greater than themselves. Each member of the Bad Batch possessed a genetic mutation that enhanced a specific ability far beyond normal clone standards. Hunter, their sergeant and leader, could sense electromagnetic fields given off by droids, and possessed enhanced sensory abilities that made him an exceptional tracker. Wrecker, the squad's demolitions expert, had enhanced muscular development that gave him superhuman strength and an infectious love for explosives. Tech, their resident genius, possessed enhanced mental capacity that made him a master slicer, tactician, and problem solver. Crosshair had keen eyesight that allowed him to make impossible shots at extreme distances with his specialized sniper rifle. During the Clone Wars, these 4 operated on the fringes of major conflicts, taking on missions that regular clone units couldn't complete. Their reputation preceded them, a 100% success rate that came with a cost. According to Wrecker, whatever ship they used alongside regular clones always ended up shot down and destroyed. They were effective, but they were also dangerous to be around. Their early missions took them across the galaxy, from putting down insurrections on worlds like Yalbek Prime to specialized operations on Quat. On Yalbek Prime, complications arose when Wrecker's aggressive tactics with the local fauna led to unexpected romantic advances from male Yalbeks, mistaking them for potential mates. These missions, while successful, highlighted their unorthodox methods and the chaos that seemed to follow in their wake. One particularly notable mission involved hunting down a mysterious thief who had stolen a list of Republic ghost agents from the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. This operation took them through the underworld of Coruscant, where they had to work undercover in cantinas and deal with criminal elements. The trail led them to Kessel, where they encountered the notorious bounty hunter Embo and discovered the thief was working with Aura Singh. This mission demonstrated their ability to adapt to different environments and challenges beyond traditional military operations. Everything changed during a mission to Anaxes, where they worked alongside Captain Rex and encountered a familiar signal, one belonging to a clone thought dead. This led them to Skako Minor, where they discovered Echo, an advanced recon commando who had been captured and turned into a cyborg by the Techno Union. The mission to Skako Minor became one of their most challenging operations, requiring them to work with Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker and navigate both political complexities with the native Poltecs and the technological horrors of the Techno Union. Their arrival on Skako Minor was marked by immediate conflict with the Poltecs, the planet's indigenous people who wanted nothing to do with the Clone Wars. After Skywalker was captured by these reptile-riding natives, the Bad Batch had to carefully negotiate their way into an alliance, promising to leave the planet immediately after completing their mission. The Poltecs, led by their chief, reluctantly agreed to provide scouts to guide them to Perkal, the Techno Union's massive facility rising above the clouds on impossibly thin pillars. The infiltration of Perkal tested every member of the team's abilities. Tech lost Echo's signal, raising fears that the entire operation might be a trap orchestrated by Wat Tambor, the Techno Union's foreman. When stealth failed, they resorted to their signature direct assault tactics, blasting through waves of aerial battle droids. The discovery of Echo, suspended in a stasis chamber and plugged into the Techno-Union systems like a living computer, horrified even these battle-hardened soldiers. Echo's rescue became a race against time as Tambor deployed the Decimator, a prototype droid designed specifically to target organic life forms. The team's escape through the facility's cooling systems showcased their adaptability and teamwork. When they found themselves trapped on a narrow pipe between buildings with battle droids on both sides, Tech's quick thinking saved them. He used recorded Kiradak calls to summon the native flying reptiles, allowing them to ride to safety. But their troubles weren't over. The battle droids followed them to the Poltech village, forcing the natives into the very conflict they had tried to avoid. The Bad Batch found themselves fighting alongside the Poltechs against Octoptara, tri-droids and swarms of battle droids. This battle demonstrated their growth as a unit. They weren't just an elite squad anymore, but protectors of those who couldn't protect themselves. Echo's rescue wasn't just another mission, it became personal. When Rex offered Echo the choice between returning to regular service or joining the Bad Batch, Echo chose his new brothers. For the first time, Clone Force 99 had a member who wasn't born different, but had been made different by circumstance and suffering. Echo brought with him not just technical expertise and cybernetic enhancements, but a deeper understanding of loss and what it meant to be left behind. But their greatest test came on Kaller during what should have been another routine mission, supporting Jedi General Depa Billaba and her Padawan, Caleb Dume. As they pushed back Separatist forces, everything changed in an instant. Order 66 echoed across communication channels throughout the galaxy. While clone troopers everywhere turned on their Jedi commanders, the Bad Batch found themselves confused and conflicted. Their genetic mutations had an unexpected side effect. Their inhibitor chips were less effective. Hunter watched in horror as regular clones gunned down General Billaba. When young Caleb fled in terror, Hunter faced an impossible choice. Crosshair demanded they execute the Padawan, following orders like good soldiers should, but Hunter saw a frightened child, not an enemy of the state. In a moment that would define who they truly were, Hunter lied to Crosshair, claiming the Padawan had fallen to his death when he had actually escaped. As the Republic transformed into the Galactic Empire, the Bad Batch found themselves increasingly at odds with their new leadership. Admiral Tarkin questioned their loyalty and sent them on a test mission to eliminate what he called a separatist remnant. Instead, they discovered the targets were Saw Gerrera's freedom fighters and innocent refugees, people who posed no real threat to anyone. The Bad Batch refused to fire on civilians, sealing their fate as enemies of the Empire they had once served. Their escape from Kamino brought them an unexpected addition. Omega, a young female clone who possessed the same genetic template as them but remained unaltered. She knew each of them by name and displayed an uncanny understanding of their abilities and personalities. More importantly, she represented something they had never experienced before: family beyond brotherhood. But their escape came at a terrible cost. Crosshair's inhibitor chip, unlike the others, had been enhanced rather than weakened by his mutations. His loyalty shifted to the Empire, and he stayed behind on Kamino, believing his brothers had betrayed everything they stood for. The Bad Batch had lost one of their own to the very system they had fought to protect. Now fugitives, they struggled to find their place in this new galaxy. Their first stop was Salaokami, seeking out Cut Lawquane, a clone deserter who had built a family with a Twi'lek woman named Sue and her children. Cut's life represented everything the Bad Batch had never experienced: peace, normalcy, and civilian life. But even this refuge was threatened as the Empire began requiring chain codes for all citizens, threatening to expose Cut's identity as a deserter. The mission to help the Lawquane family escape Salukami became a lesson in what it meant to be parents and protectors. Hunter, watching Cut interact with his children, began to understand the weight of responsibility that came with caring for Omega. The operation required them to steal chain code data from an Imperial base, with Omega taking dangerous risks that terrified Hunter and made him question whether he could provide the kind of family she needed. This internal conflict came to a head when Hunter tried to send Omega away with the Lawquane family, believing she would be safer and happier in a traditional family setting. But Omega's determination to stay with the Bad Batch proved that family wasn't about genetics or traditional structures. It was about choice, loyalty, and love. Their journey continued to Pantora, where a simple supply run turned dangerous when bounty hunter Fennec Shand targeted Omega. This encounter revealed that Omega wasn't just another clone. Someone wanted her specifically, badly enough to hire one of the galaxy's most skilled mercenaries. The chase through Pantora's markets and urban landscape showcased Hunter's protective instincts and the team's growing bond with their youngest member. Now fugitives, they turned to mercenary work under the guidance of Sidaran Scaleback, a Trandoshan information broker who operated from Ord Mantell. Their first job for Sid involved rescuing someone called Muchi from Zigguran slavers, a mission that revealed both the dangers of their new profession and Omega's growing importance to the team. The rescue of Muchi turned out to be more than they bargained for when they discovered their target wasn't a person, but a baby rancor. The mission showcased each member's unique skills: Tech's tactical analysis, Wrecker's brute force approach, Hunter's leadership under pressure, and Echo's adaptability. But it was Omega who proved instrumental in the mission's success, using her small size and quick thinking to free both the rancor and the enslaved prisoners. This mission established a pattern for their mercenary career, jobs that seemed simple on the surface but revealed deeper complexities about the galaxy's transition from Republic to Empire. Each operation brought new moral challenges and forced them to redefine what it meant to be soldiers without a war to fight. Their work took them back to Ryloth, where they delivered weapons to Twi'lek freedom fighters led by Cham Syndulla. There, Omega befriended Cham's daughter Hera, a young pilot with dreams of adventure among the stars. When Hera's family was captured by the Empire, the Bad Batch found themselves pulled into a rescue operation that would test their resolve and their commitment to doing what's right rather than what's profitable. The mission on Ryloth became complicated when they discovered Crosshair was part of the Imperial forces occupying the planet. This near encounter with their former brother added emotional weight to an already dangerous operation. Working with Hera and her droid Chopper, they orchestrated a complex plan involving simultaneous attacks on an Imperial refinery and a rescue operation at the capital. The operation succeeded, but it came with costs. Captain Hauser, a clone commander who had grown disillusioned with the Empire's methods, chose to stay behind and face the consequences of helping them, rather than abandon his remaining troops. This sacrifice highlighted the impossible choices facing clones throughout the galaxy as they watched their purpose and identity stripped away by the very Empire they had helped create. Back on Ord Mantell, their sanctuary was threatened when Roland Duran, a Deveronian criminal, seized control of Sid's parlor. The operation to reclaim it involved stealing spice from Duran to anger the Pike Syndicate, leading to underground chases through mining tunnels filled with dangerous creatures called Earlings. This mission demonstrated how their wartime skills adapted to criminal underworld conflicts, but also how Omega's presence made every dangerous situation more complex and emotionally fraught. Another significant mission involved rescuing Gregor, a clone commando whose inhibitor chip had been removed, from an Imperial facility on Darrow. This operation, requested by Captain Rex, forced the Bad Batch to infiltrate a mountain base where the Empire was training new recruits, stormtroopers who would replace clone troopers entirely. The mission revealed the Empire's systematic replacement of clones with recruited soldiers, symbolizing the erasure of their entire identity and purpose. The rescue went catastrophically wrong when Tech's attempt to use old clone authorization codes triggered facility-wide alarms. Their escape became a running battle through the base's corridors and elevator shafts, culminating in a desperate leap from the mountain facility. When Hunter was captured during the extraction, it set up the confrontation that would define their future relationship with Crosshair. Using Hunter's capture as bait, Crosshair lured his former brothers back to Kamino for a final confrontation. The emotional weight of this reunion couldn't be understated. Months of separation, betrayal, and conflicting loyalties had driven these brothers apart. Crosshair's plan to prove his loyalty to both the Empire and his squad backfired spectacularly when his Imperial squad disobeyed his orders to spare the Bad Batch. In a moment that revealed his true priorities, Crosshair killed his own squad rather than let them harm his brothers. The reunion was interrupted by training droids that Omega activated to help them escape, but more importantly, by Crosshair's shocking revelation. He had voluntarily removed his inhibitor chip long ago. His betrayal wasn't the result of Imperial conditioning. It was his choice. He believed the Empire offered order and purpose, while his former brothers had chosen chaos and aimless wandering. This revelation shattered their understanding of everything that had happened since Order 66. The conversation was cut short by Imperial bombardment. Admiral Rampart, deciding that Crosshair had become a liability, ordered the complete destruction of Tipoca City, with everyone still inside. The Bad Batch and Crosshair were forced to work together to survive as Kamino's cities collapsed into the ocean around them. Their escape through Kamino's flooding corridors became a test of everything they had learned about teamwork and sacrifice. When Omega risked her life to save Crosshair from being crushed, it demonstrated that their bonds transcended politics and personal choices. Wrecker's desperate efforts to keep them all together, literally wedging open doors with his combat knife, showed how far he would go to prevent losing another brother. The destruction of Tipoca City marked the end of an era. As Kamino's cities sank beneath the waves, so too did the last remnants of the clone program that had created them all. In the aftermath, standing on their ship with the ocean grave of their birthplace behind them, Hunter offered Crosshair one final chance to rejoin them, but Crosshair chose to remain with the Empire rather than rejoin his brothers, believing their philosophies had become irreconcilable. His parting words to Omega, acknowledging her as his sister too, revealed that his choice was about ideology, not love. Months passed as the Bad Batch continued their mercenary work, adapting their armor and identities to their new reality. They removed the 99 designation from their gear and adopted new color schemes, symbolically moving away from their military past. Their missions took them across the galaxy, from stealing Count Dooku's war chest from his abandoned castle on Sereno to various jobs that kept them just ahead of Imperial attention. Meanwhile, Crosshair faced his own reckoning with the Empire's true nature. Sent to Barton IV with clone commander Mayday to retrieve stolen equipment from raiders, Crosshair experienced firsthand the Empire's callous disregard for clone lives. When Mayday was wounded during the mission and their Imperial commanding officer Nolan refused to provide medical aid, Crosshair's loyalty finally snapped. He killed Nolan in a moment of protective rage, leading to his arrest and imprisonment at Mount Tantus, where he would discover the Empire's darkest secrets. During this separation, Echo made a difficult decision of his own. Recognizing that his skills and experience were needed elsewhere, he chose to leave the Bad Batch temporarily to work with Captain Rex in establishing a network to help other clones transition to civilian life. This departure was amicable but painful, another brother choosing a different path, even if for noble reasons. The Bad Batch's story took its darkest turn on Ariadu, when their mission to help Echo with his clone resistance work went catastrophically wrong. Plan 99 had always been their protocol for impossible situations. A code that meant one member would sacrifice themselves for the squad's survival. None of them ever wanted to use it, but Tech found himself in exactly that situation. Trapped on a damaged railcar suspended high above Ariadu's surface, with Imperial forces closing in and no other escape route available, Tech made the ultimate sacrifice. His final moments were spent ensuring his family could escape, even as it cost him everything. The sight of Tech's shattered goggles, later presented by Dr. Hemlock, would haunt them, serving as a reminder of the price they paid for their independence. Tech's loss shattered the team in ways they had never experienced. Their resident genius, the one who always had a solution, had found one final answer that cost him everything. His sacrifice epitomized everything the Bad Batch stood for: loyalty to each other above all else, even above their own lives. But it also left them rudderless, struggling to function without the analytical mind that had guided so many of their decisions. The Empire, recognizing Omega's unique value for their cloning experiments, eventually captured her through the betrayal of Sid's Scaleback. Dr. Hemlock brought her to Mount Tantis, a secret facility hidden in the mountains of Wayland where horrific experiments were conducted on Force-sensitive children. The facility represented everything evil about the Empire, the systematic torture and exploitation of children in pursuit of immortality for Emperor Palpatine. At Mount Tantis, Omega's reunion with Crosshair was bittersweet. Both had been betrayed by systems they had trusted. Omega by someone she considered family, Crosshair by the Empire he had served faithfully. Their time in captivity revealed how much both had grown and changed. Crosshair's loyalty to the Empire had been completely shattered after witnessing its treatment of clones like Mayday, while Omega had developed the skills and determination needed to survive in the galaxy's darkest corners. Their escape from Mount Tantis showcased Omega's evolution from protected child to capable operative. Working with Nala Se, who had her own reasons for opposing Hemlock's experiments, Omega engineered a breakout that freed not just herself and Crosshair, but sent a message to the galaxy about the facility's existence. Their crash landing on Lao and subsequent evasion of Imperial forces demonstrated that Omega had learned well from her brothers about survival and resistance. The coded transmission that led to their reunion on a moon of Ryloth represented hope renewed. For the first time since Tech's death, the surviving members of Clone Force 99 were together again. But Crosshair's return came with physical and emotional scars. The Empire had cost him his shooting hand, symbolically destroying the very ability that had defined him as a soldier. Their mission to restore Nala Se's damaged datapad on Barton 4 became a pilgrimage of sorts. Returning to the frozen world where Crosshair had lost his faith in the Empire, they faced not just the technical challenge of accessing Old Republic equipment, but massive ice worms that represented the wild, untamed nature of a galaxy beyond Imperial control. The mission's success came through teamwork and the very bonds that had always made them stronger than the sum of their parts. Their involvement with the Clone Underground brought them into contact with the broader resistance movement that Rex and Echo had been building. When clone assassins began targeting Republic senators like Rio Chuchi and Avi Singh, the Bad Batch found themselves drawn into larger political conflicts. The appearance of these brainwashed clone operatives, designated CX troopers, represented the Empire's ultimate perversion of everything clones had once stood for. Crosshair's confrontation with CX2, one of these assassins, became deeply personal. These weren't just enemy soldiers. They were brothers who had been stripped of identity and free will, turned into weapons against the very values they had once protected. The fight between Crosshair and CX2 was brutal and emotional, representing his struggle against what he himself might have become under different circumstances. The discovery that the Empire had a hit list of senators supporting clone rights added urgency to their mission. This wasn't just about rescuing Omega anymore. It was about preventing the systematic elimination of anyone who might speak for clone dignity and rights in the new galactic order. When Imperial forces tracked them to Pabu, their peaceful refuge was shattered. The attack on the island community, with its innocent fishermen and families, demonstrated the Empire's willingness to destroy anything and anyone associated with their targets. The destruction of the Marauder, their home and symbol of independence, marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Omega's decision to surrender herself to protect the people of Pabu showed how much she had grown and internalized the values her brothers had taught her. But it also demonstrated the impossible choices facing anyone who opposed the Empire. Sometimes protecting others meant sacrificing yourself. The mission to rescue Omega required everything they had learned about teamwork, sacrifice, and strategic thinking. Their infiltration of Imperial Station 003 above Coruscant, working with the disgraced Admiral Rampart, represented the complex alliances necessary to fight the Empire. Even former enemies could become allies when facing a greater evil. Their attachment to the science vessel heading to Mount Tantis was a desperate gambit that showcased their willingness to risk everything for family. Echo's precise work disabling the proximity sensors at exactly the right moment demonstrated the kind of technical skill and timing that had always made them effective as a unit. The final assault on Mount Tantis became their most important mission, not just rescuing Omega, but freeing all the imprisoned clones and Force-sensitive children held there. Working with Dr. Emery Carr, a clone scientist who had found her conscience, and the other captive clones, they orchestrated a complex operation that combined military precision with moral purpose. The release of the Zillo beast imprisoned at the facility created the chaos they needed to succeed, but also symbolized the unleashing of consequences for the Empire's cruel experiments. When beings are treated as monsters, sometimes monsters are exactly what you get. Hunter and Crosshair's pursuit of Dr. Hemlock through the facility's wreckage became personal vengeance for every clone who had suffered under his experiments. When Hemlock tried to use Omega as a human shield, her quick thinking and Crosshair's precision shooting, even with his injured hand, demonstrated that their bond couldn't be broken by physical limitations or Imperial threats. The death of Hemlock and destruction of Mount Tantis marked not just a tactical victory, but a moral one. The freed prisoners, both clone and civilian, represented hope for a galaxy where the Empire's cruelty wouldn't go unchallenged. In the aftermath, Echo's decision to continue working with the Clone Underground while the rest of Clone Force 99 settled on Pabu reflected their individual growth and choices. They had learned that family could exist across distances and different missions. What mattered was the love and loyalty they maintained. Omega's eventual departure to join the Rebel Alliance as a pilot represented the culmination of everything she had learned from her brothers. The skills they had taught her, tactical thinking, technical expertise, moral courage, and unwavering loyalty to those who couldn't protect themselves, would serve the rebellion well in their fight against the Empire. In the end, Clone Force 99's legacy wasn't measured in successful missions or tactical victories, but in the lives they touched and the choices they inspired. They represented something far more important than military effectiveness. The idea that being different wasn't a weakness to be corrected, but a strength to be celebrated. In a galaxy that demanded conformity, they chose individuality. In an empire that valued obedience, they chose conscience. Their story resonated throughout the galaxy in ways they never could have imagined. Rex's documentation of their exploits in his book, The Secrets of the Clone Troopers, ensured that future generations would understand what they had fought for. Years later, when Admiral Amilyn Holdo compared the Resistance's Task Force 99 to the original Bad Batch, she was acknowledging that their model of unorthodox thinking and fierce loyalty had become a template for resistance movements across the galaxy. The Bad Batch proved that sometimes the misfits, the outcasts, and the ones who don't fit the mold are exactly what the galaxy needs. They showed us that true strength comes not from genetic perfection or blind obedience, but from the choices we make and the people we choose to protect. In a universe full of identical soldiers, Clone Force 99 dared to be different, and that made all the difference. Their journey from Republic Special Forces to Imperial fugitives to Guardians of the Innocent reflects the broader transformation of the galaxy itself. As the Republic fell and the Empire rose, individuals had to choose who they would become in this new order. The Bad Batch chose family, freedom, and fighting for those who couldn't fight for themselves. Tech's sacrifice on Ariadu, Crosshair's redemption arc, Echo's dedication to helping other clones, Hunter's growth as a father figure, Wrecker's unwavering loyalty, and Omega's evolution from protected child to rebel pilot. Each of these stories represents different aspects of heroism and growth in the face of galactic upheaval. But perhaps their most important legacy was proving that family isn't defined by genetics, military service, or even species. Family is defined by choice, loyalty, love, and the willingness to sacrifice for each other. In a galaxy torn apart by war and oppression, Clone Force 99 created their own corner of hope, loyalty, and love that no empire could destroy. As Omega flew off to join the rebellion, carrying with her all the lessons her brothers had taught her about courage, family, and fighting for what's right, she carried forward a legacy that would help topple the very empire that had tried to destroy them. The Bad Batch's story didn't end with their active service. It continued in every choice made by those they had inspired, protected, and loved. Their tale reminds us that in the darkest times, when institutions fail and systems crumble, it's the bonds between individuals, the choice to stand together, to protect each other, and to fight for what's right, that ultimately determines the fate of the galaxy. Clone Force 99 may have started as an experimental unit designed to be superior soldiers, but they became something far more important. They became a family that chose love over hate, freedom over oppression, and hope over despair. And in a galaxy far, far away, that choice made all the difference.